Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. Today, folks, I got another one by RGMT, one of my favorite brands under the Dartmouth branding. Which one am I sharing with you guys today? And you know, at some point, just so you guys know, if you have any requests, let me know. You'll probably see all of them. But today, I have to say, this one here, I'm kind of torn on which one is my favorite under the RGMT brand. And this is the very first one RGMT sent me, and this is the Torpedo. So the original one they sent me was with the black face. I liked it so much, and I thought the blue was such a great color on this watch. I had to request the blue. So let's check it out. So during the video, of course, you're going to see some pop-ups. I'll throw the specs up here in a little bit, and we're just going to talk about the basics here. So what are you getting with RGMT? So with RGMT, you are getting, in all honesty, like most brands out there, you're getting exceptional quality. What do I always talk about when it comes to quality of watches, right? Once it's good, it's just good, right? There's not really a lot of different levels of quality when it comes to watches. You have poor quality, you have okay, you have good. And once it's good, those differences that really drive the price of watches up, honestly, really comes down to branding and the name, really. I mean, that's really it. Microscopic differences, sometimes quality of material, or when I say quality of material, I shouldn't really use the word quality in this case. I mean the differences in material. Of course, if you get something made of a precious metal, the addition of precious stones, it's going to drive the price up. Overinflated fake rationales for different stainless, right? We won't mention that the other brand of the 904. It's meaningless. When you have 316 stainless steel, that's all you need in a watch. There are no advantages to going with anything else, right? Now, of course, solid gold, right? 24 karat, 14 karat, whatever you go with, it's going to be a lot heavier. It's going to be a different feel on the wrist. But when you have something like this, solid 316 stainless steel, you're getting that level of quality. And I'll tell you, hands down, go compare this to, if you guys have trusted me this long, compare this to anything. I mean, you're getting an exceptional watch here, right? So I love the design of this. So the crown is on the opposite side of the watch. So if you are sensitive, right? Some folks, the crown bothers them. I'm not one of those guys. To me, if a crown bothers you enough I need to find one with it on the opposite side, this gigantic watch probably isn't something you're going to find comfortable anyway, so you should probably just move on. But for those who like the big, beefy, robust, interesting style watches, look no further than RGMT. This is, again, I love this design. Now, I don't know who actually was the first one to create this. I've seen similar designs by lots of different watch manufacturers as far as the crown in the opposite position and then this very uniquely styled case with the helium release valve sort of positioned off at the top, right? It's really unique in the way that they've positioned this. I believe Omega's made something like this. I don't know if they were the first. I think Seiko, and I think there's a few other brands you can find at AliExpress. Don't quote me on this, but maybe Steel Dive makes something like this. But this is just killer. So shark mesh bracelet. Micro adjustments on the side here. You have, what do you got? 5. So, if you have a wrist where you really want to really fine tune that bracelet, 5 micro adjustments is a lot. Most watches that I've seen have 3. Don't come back and be like, oh, I have one of the 5. I understand. There's many brands. They're all a little bit different, but I like the fact they give you the 5 there. Plenty of links to remove here. I will tell you though, for a 7-inch wrist, I had to remove 5 links out of this sucker. Let me double check that. Yeah, 5 links. 2, 3, 6 links out of this. So check that out. So 6 links, didn't use any micro adjustments, 6 links out of this, and I am at the max. So this is as small as the watch can go with removing links. So big boys, big wrist fellas, this is a real candidate for you if you have a hard time finding watches, right? 6 links will definitely fit most wrists out there. For the smaller wrists, again, I have a 7-inch wrist. I took it all the way down to the minimum here. But you do have, I'd say, the equivalent of, almost a link and a half in micro adjustment. So you can probably get this down to a 6.5-inch wrist. But if you have a smaller wrist than that, I probably wouldn't recommend this watch. Probably not going to fit you. But just exceptional quality. I've said it before in other videos. The shark mesh that RGMT is using, this bracelet is identical to the Aragon quality. So if some of you folks out there are like, oh man, I've heard it all the time, I think they are. I hear it. Let me put it in quotes. I hear it all the time. Folks will be like, "Oh well, I shouldn't say all the time. I get folks sometimes who will state, "Oh well, I like Aragon, I like Invicta, but I found the quality of Aragon's better than Invicta." Nonsense. Not true at all. That's just somebody stating that because they happen to like the Aragon brand more. There is no difference in quality between the Aragon and the Invicta brand. And this brand right here is using, in my opinion, the bracelet on this is identical to the Aragon Shark Mesh. And I've reviewed many Aragon watches over the years, and I've always really liked the Aragon Shark Mesh, enough that I actually bought one of them for my Aquadive watch. Aquadive was nice enough to send me a watch years ago, but they didn't send me the Shark Mesh. I'm a bracelet guy. I'm not really a silicone or leather. Not to say I don't wear that once in a while, but I do prefer Shark Mesh, and this has it. This bracelet, this watch also comes with a silicone band. In this particular color variation, they send you the blue one. So pretty cool as well. Let me just get to the box here. RGMT boxes, one of my favorite, hands down across brands. It's usable, you know. This is something that I repurpose. Now I can't show you really what it looked like from the factory, but I did cut this. So this has your foam in there, and it's nice that it's not glued in. You can just remove it. I actually cut some of this foam and used it in kind of like an old drawer I repurposed for some of the other watches that I don't keep locked up, right? Most of them are on lock and key, but some of the ones that are like really inexpensive, I just need a place to put them. So I kind of repurposed an old drawer. I used a lot of the foam for this. I just pulled them out and just cut them, right? But the cool thing about this is that this watch box, of course, is like your standard, very similar to Invicta's. But this is what you might find like Harbor Freight in one of their Pelican cases. Very similar. Nice seal, foam on top, and obviously, you know, you could do what you want to do with this if you want to cut this down or, you know, whatever. But I use this for stuff on the boat. So, for instance, when I'm, you know, out there, we're going out, you know, we want to have a backup just in case, you know, something happens. You can put your electronics. This is perfect for a cell phone. I close this sucker up, we're good to go, right? You know, any little headphones, power banks, whatever you want to use it for, you can. If you have, you know, sometimes like back in the day, I used to, before my buddy had built-in electronics on the boat, we actually used an old tablet with GPS. So I would have taken an old phone, got some foam, carved it out where you had something kind of like mounted in there without having to, you know, like an old phone, but basically something kind of mounted in there more securely, almost like some deck codes or something like that, right? So, you know, all joking aside, just a great box to repurpose. Another great thing you could use this for is, you know, ammunition. You know, I'm always looking for a place to store ammunition. This is fantastic. Really, anything that you need to store and keep it dry, these are great. So I like the fact they didn't do anything too over the top. And when I've compared this box to other brands who do stuff similar, for instance, Delta T, you guys know I like Delta T watches, they're awesome, but their boxes are made of more of like a plastic. So if you drop them, chances are you're going to crack it. With this is more of that kind of softer plastic, just like a Pelican case. So you can really kind of bang this around quite a bit. You know, you might even be able to repurpose this to me for a small firearm. So pretty awesome. I like the fact they really thought about their watch box. I always like to give companies a little bit of advice. Some folks aren't going to repurpose this. I think this would be nice if instead of adding, when this came from the factory, you'll have a spot for a flashlight, manual, and of course the bracelet. I think it'd be kind of nice if they could actually make this to store maybe 2 watches. You know, maybe you got 2 RGMTs you want to keep in one case, you know, travel, whatever. But very well thought out. Other neat thing about this particular watch, which I'm not going to lie, in the beginning when I first saw this, I was like, that's dumb. That's dumb. Why would you include that? They give you a flashlight. Now, what's not dumb about this is that it's not just a standard cheap-ass flashlight. This is a USB rechargeable flashlight. And you know, these are the kind of things that just kind of surprise me with companies. I can't explain to you how handy this is. Sure, lots of companies make them. You can buy them all over Amazon, but it's just a nice little like free gift that allows you to, you know, plug this into a USB adapter in your car. You always have a flashlight. I am constantly losing flashlights. I can never find them when I need them. This is great. So, and you know, I'm always running out of batteries. It's not like a real life problem, but you know, this is great. This is a very handy little extra they give you, which kind of goes in theme with the whole military style branding, right? So pretty awesome. So definitely something that I will use, and you know, it's fantastic. But really well thought out on that. So let's get back to the watch here. So again, what's my checkbox when I talk about watches? What's it made out of? What's the size? What's it look like? Like, that's really my biggest check boxes. And then, of course, movement. This watch powered by a Japanese automatic 3-hand with date. I am in the process of getting the specifics on this. I don't know why RGMT. I've been harping on it for a while now. And all the Dartmouth brands, they're a little vague when it comes to the movement. And I think that this is a real deal breaker for some people. You need to know the movement. I'm going to estimate... take a guess that this is a Miyota of some sort, but again, don't buy it based on that. I want you guys to, you know, buy it based on, you know, facts. So as long as you're cool with Japanese automatic, let me just check something out here and see if anybody else has this listed. And I don't think we're going to find it here, but some folks comment that that these watches are using a seagull movement. I'm not sure. I believe seagulls are Chinese movement. So if they do have that listed, that they're using, if they are using a seagull and they're listing as Japanese, that would be incorrect. So and again, maybe I'm incorrect, but I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure it's a Miyota movement. But again, if that is a real deal breaker for you and you're concerned with, you know, not buying it because of that, you know, if it is, just drop me a comment. I'll try to get you that information. I am working with RGMT right now. I did send them an email to come up with a list with all their different movements they use in their watches. I'm even going to Ashford here, where you can find some great deals on some of the RGMT stuff every now and then, but I'm not finding any information. They don't even list. I just don't understand why companies don't list this. They don't even list the movement. They just say automatic. You know, I mean, I just can't believe a company would be selling this stuff and not list the movement. And it is very annoying. And, you know, as much as I like Dartmouth brands and I know that their products are great, you know, guys, come on. You know, we need to know what movement is in these watches. But Japanese automatic 3-hand. So a lot of times with the rotor, if you listen to the rotor, you can sometimes tell what kind of movement if you're familiar with watches. For instance, like a Seiko NH35, if you listen to the rotor, it's almost kind of like clunky, you know what I mean? It just kind of, and I don't know if that's because it winds in one direction, but like if you look at a lot of the NH35s, the rotor doesn't keep spinning. It's not, I don't believe it's ball bearings, but it has ball bearings, but don't quote me on that. Again, I'm not, you know, there's lots of guys who probably know. I'm sure you'll drop a comment. But when I listen to this, it sounds like a Miyota might sound. So don't quote me on it. So if you need to know, let me know. I'll get you the information. But as far as the crystal sapphire lens with anti-reflective coating, that is a checkbox for many folks out there. 100 ATMs of water resistance. Case size is 50.5 millimeters. I mean, this is a tank of a watch. 16.4 millimeters thickness. You have that 100 or 1,000 meter water resistance marking on the side, which is almost, it appears it's actually engraved into the case. So it's not like a sticker that might fall off. It's actually engraved into the case and kind of textured as well, kind of with some diagonal. You probably can't see it on the video, but it's diagonally striped. So it just gives a little extra design element there. I like the fact that they matched the helium release valve trim around the edge. They put like some blue coating around that. I'm not sure if that's like an anodized layer or what, but it matches the bezel. And the bezel's like sort of like a navy blue. Love this watch. Again, that's why I requested another one. It is killer. And I hope that they keep making this watch, and I hope that they, you know, maybe do something a little different too. You know, this is a very popular design. This is kind of one of these watches that, you know, for me personally, you know, I have so many watches that you want to get things that are different, unique, and things that actually people ask about, you know what I mean? And so a watch like this is definitely an attention getter. Even though it's been done before other companies, I get it, but this design is so unique that I eventually was going to get one in my collection. I'm just really fortunate that I'm working with RGMT and Dartmouth because, you know, I didn't have to pay for it, of course. So pretty awesome. The hands on this are huge. They almost remind me of like a building. Like they're just really large hands. You have loom around the indices, of course. Bezel on these, you know, no back play. From what I can tell, lines up perfectly. I don't see any of those, you know, some of these watch guys on YouTube. They always seem to find like a defect, but I never can find any defects. Just fantastic. Like I said, shark mesh, beautiful, beautiful shark mesh bracelet. You know, super high quality. This is, if you're familiar with the Aragon shark mesh, this, I believe they're getting the bracelets from the same factory, where, you know, or vice versa. Aragon's getting them from them, or you know, or probably the same factory. What's interesting about these two is when I looked for shark mesh straps or bracelets on like AliExpress and eBay, you don't really find these. I'm sure they're out there, but this is what you expect out of shark mesh. It's very tough, very durable, and you know, it looks great. It's not something that's like tinny and cheap. It's solid. So excellent bracelet. Dual push button deploying clasp here with fold over lock. You know, that's you know, important to some folks. I know some folks don't like the Invictas because they use like a friction clasp. You know, I mean, they all work, but for those who care, this is also a milled clasp, so you're not getting that stamped. Just a little extra attention to quality. Screw down case back. It's a killer piece. It's big, it's robust, and it is one of my favorite RGMT watches. So let's go ahead and throw it on the wrist. I'm about 5'7.5", I weigh about 180 pounds, and I have a 7-inch wrist. Again, you know, no micro adjustments used. You can see that this watch, it does flare out a little bit because it's so large, and the shark mesh can only bend so far, so it doesn't completely conform to your wrist, so to speak. But if you look at where the lugs are, it just kind of sits kind of up above your wrist a little bit. But you know, I think this is perfectly sized for me. When it comes to a watch, it's 50 millimeter. You don't want to size it where it's flopping around, but you don't want to have it too tight where it's uncomfortable. So this is perfect. I mean, this absolutely was just an awesome piece, guys. Now, the loom on these, definitely better than Invicta. I would say better than Aragon as well. I don't know what they're actually using. Again, RGMT needs to add these specifics. They don't have the loom listed, so I'm not sure if they're using BGW9, I think it's called. I just don't know. But one thing they do list is when they are using drawing a blank. When they do use the tritium, they do list that. Some of their watches use that. What I would like to see RGMT do is use tritium on all the RGMT watches. I think that would really be kind of, you know, I think as a brand that's, you know, military related, RGMT is such a great material for loom. I think that they should use that on all of them. I mean, honestly, you know, just because, you know, when we think of military stuff, we think of night vision a lot of times. You know, it's something used in the military, right? So it'd be really nice to add that on all their watches. Again, they do have some that have that feature, but I'd like to see if they redesign this model at a later date, them use that. But like I said, a killer watch. I want them to do another thing. So RGMT, I know you guys are going to watch this video. In my opinion, a very popular color combination, they did it with the Ohio, is bright orange. So, and the yellow was killer. I mean, if you guys didn't watch my RGMT video on the yellow version for the Ohio, I mean, again, I think that's my favorite RGMT watch. But I think that, you know, having the other colors, black, blue, green, that's great. But I really would like to see RGMT expand their color line a little bit and add 2 colors. And I think adding the bright orange, I mean, these are sort of like they're almost dive. I mean, really, they're dive / military watches. You know, I would really like to see this brand. I'd really like to see RGMT kind of rebrand themselves as a dive watch company, you know, and kind of, you can still have the RGMT logo, but just kind of make them more, when we think military themed, we just kind of, I don't know, for some reason, at least my mind it gravitates away from, you know, dive watch. And when we think of dive watches, we think, you know, good depth rating, robust, built well, and these watches have that. So I think that, you know, adding something with their branding would help, I think, the identity of this brand a little bit, you know. And again, making those colors orange for a dive watch is you need to have orange. I mean, Doxa is known for that orange, and when you look at watches that are dive watch with the orange, they look incredible. Add the yellow, and of course, a very popular color is that aqua, that teal. I'm seeing some of the Doxa homage watches coming out on AliExpress. Pagani just came out with one. I tried to get one. They don't want to send one, but that teal is a fantastic color. So if RGMT made this in a teal or orange, that would be a killer combination too. When we look at the competition, I don't think anybody makes one. So I think it's something they should add to their lineup. But just a Fat Cat Collection's opinion. Anyway, killer watch, check it out. Remember guys, link in the description of every single video where you want to buy this stuff. And right now, RGMT has created a 30% off Fat Cat Collections exclusive code so you can get these for a more realistic price. 30% off, you got to get this watch down to, what are they asking, $1,300 on their site. We're down to, I don't have a calculator here and I can't do this in my head. Whoops. A little drum roll here. $390. So, no, sorry, $390 off. So, it's going to get this down to $610. $610, you know, when we look at price points on watches, you know, $610, you know, is definitely more realistic for a watch with this quality, but there's a lot of watches. We have to look at the competition when we're talking about these things. There's a lot of competition out there where you get watches comparable quality for half that price. So I think that although I do appreciate the coupon code, and remember when we buy watches, when we compare this to like an Aqua Dive, $2 grand. This is every bit as nice as an Aqua Dive. Quality on par. Other than the movement, which we don't know what it is, an Aqua Dive will use, like Doxa, same thing. They'll use their own proprietary movement. I think Aqua Dive uses an ETA. You know, with something like this, for that price point, we expect to see maybe an ETA movement in there, would be more realistic. When we have kind of, at this point, just a simple Japanese automatic movement with no, it's a little bit of a stretch, I think, in some cases. But not to say that they don't sell them for these prices. And, you know, realistically, remember, a lot of times when we think of other companies like Aragon, like Invicta, they're really not, you know, their margin's pretty low on their stuff. So I do think, though, if we want to compare the quality differences, if there is any, right? I said it before, and whether I'm right or wrong, you know, it is subjective, but when I wear this watch, when I wear an Invicta watch, again, both quality watches, but maybe it's just because this is, you know, generally when I buy the Invictas, I tend to buy ones that are more blinged out, right? More of like the gold and the plated finishes. But with this, I just feel like this is a watch that, like, I'm not, like, I generally don't wear my Invictas when I'm out, like, out in the woods or, you know, camping or whatever, or on the boat. But I wear my RGMT. So I almost feel like the RGMT, for me, get more of like the real world use, and the Invictas and the Aragons get more of like the, hey, you know, I'm going out to dinner, or I'm going out to, you know, lounging around the house, or I'm not doing anything more physical. I'm not sure what it is or why I feel that way, but because both are great quality watches. Again, it's probably because RGMT isn't doing any kind of plating, like as far as the gold plating or whatnot. It just has a different vibe. But again, these watches are killer quality. And, you know, in all honesty, 610, I think they'd be more competitive at a different price point, but I still think at 610 you're getting a hell of a watch. So it really comes down to what you guys want. You know, it's one thing for me to say, you know, you know, I'm getting these for free. So, you know, and I'm a cheapskate. So, you know, I mean, the most I've ever spent on a watch is about $5, and my sweet spot on watches is that $300 max point. That's where I like to stay, and I think that if they made these, if these came down at some point to that $300 price point, they would kill it. They'd fly off the shelf. So just kind of be prepared. You know, they are working on you know, getting their price in the sweet spot. So time will tell. You know, it really depends on what they sell. If they're selling out like crazy at this price point, then they're going to stay at that price point. So let me know what you guys think about the price, because this information is great for the company to use as well, to figure out what's, you know, of course everybody wants something for nothing, everybody wants something cheaper, naturally, but I think when the world of watches, when we look at what Citizens cost, and we look at what Bulliva's cost, and we look at what a lot of the newer Invictas are coming out, like in the $400 price range, I don't think it's really, you know, insanely out of line. So your thoughts, guys. Drop a comment. As always, links are in the description. Be sure to use my code no matter what you get on RGMT. Save that 30% off. If anything changes with that coupon code, I'll let you guys know. Thanks for watching, folks. Have a fantastic weekend and take care.